Hello, we thought we'd give you a bit of a taster as to what you'll be learning with us for your History A-level if you choose to study Early Modern, the best period. And we thought it might be nice for you to imagine that we're in a kind of art gallery full of lovely paintings, the kind of place that we just can't visit right now.
Before we start, let me tell you a few things about one of my favourite characters from the Early Modern History course, Louis XIV. There he is. Now, quiz. Which of the following facts do you think are true about our Louis? I'll give you a few seconds to think. Well, if you don't think that A is true, you are going to be very disappointed. Our current queen is not Europe's longest reigning monarch. It's Louis. He reigned for 72 years and 110 days. As for B, that one is also true. 80 people were tested on before Louis to practice this operation, this pioneering procedure using that eye-watering instrument there. And as for C, actually what is supposed to be one of the most famous things that people know about him. We don't actually know that he ever said it. However, it's quite probable that he did. L'état c'est moi, I am the state, very much defines the way that Louis thought about himself and his position as king. It's one of the more interesting parts of the French course, actually, thinking about the nature of power and how one person could acquire so much power and how he used it.
Here's a quick overview of what we do then. As you can see, it's split into first year and second year. So a good proportion of your first year will be taken up by this topic, the Wars of the Roses. This is all about the ping-ponging between rival families, the Yorkists and the Lancastrians, as each tries to take control of the throne. And we have there Henry VI, and then he is kicked off the throne by Edward IV, who in turn kicks off Henry VI, who in turn kicks off Edward IV. Oh, and then we have these guys, the princes in the tower, who are killed by their uncle, who didn't look like a skeleton when he was alive, but that's how he looked when we found him in a car park in Leicester a few years ago. That's what he really looks like, Richard III. And Richard III is the final Yorkist king because he is kicked off the throne by that guy. That's Henry Tudor, Henry VII, the first to start the Tudor dynasty, and yet no one's ever seemingly heard of him. So we look at his reign as well. So it's this big civil war, this big conflict between rival families. It's fast-paced, it's dynamic. You will love it. The other half of the first year course is about how one man can change the world. In this case, Martin Luther, and that's him there in the painting on the left. He's also depicted in the painting on the right, talking to Charles V, the most powerful man in Europe at the time. Luther is one of those examples of where one man can change history. He pretty much invented Protestantism and pretty much changed the face of Europe as we know it. His course represents that time of upheaval. Ooh, the second year content. This is some of my favourite stuff. So this course is called The Ascendancy of France, and it looks at the reigns of Louis XIII and Louis XIV. It's the era of the Musketeers, and I'm sure everyone's heard of those guys. That's them from the recent BBC series there in the middle. Louis XIII is on your left there. He reigned for a lot of time with Richelieu. Richelieu is on the right. He's always kind of caught up with the Musketeers. If you've seen any of the films or read the book, he's always the villain. Richelieu is actually in real life a very interesting character, far less black and white than the films make you believe, and he used to exercise by jumping over furniture. After Louis XIII comes Louis XIV. That's his equivalent of his baby photo there. He grows up to be an awesome character. Yes, that's him in his 50s wearing high heels and getting his legs out, but he not only tries to take over total power in France, but he also goes for the same thing in Europe. He tries to take over Europe, so there's a good bit of war in this course as Europe kind of gets fed up with Louis and kind of fights him back. So that's the Ascendancy of France course. Finally, we have some coursework to do in the second year. It's called the NEA, the Non-Examined Assessment, and we give you a choice about what you would like to learn about from some pre-approved topics to write on. One of them could be the European witch craze. One of them could be based on something you've already studied, the European Reformation. Or it could be instead about one of our Tudors, perhaps Henry VIII, perhaps his daughter Elizabeth I. Either way, you pick one title, you write an essay that incorporates all your historical skills based on one of those topics. So you pick the one that you like the sound of the most. Oh, and I really should say something about our trips. We love a trip in early modern. We go to Hampton Court Palace once a year, and every other year we go to Paris itself on a 4-day trip. That's the Hall of Mirrors in the Palace of Versailles you can see there. But there's lots of other locations we go to on that trip, and as you can see, we have a rather... So, we look forward to meeting you in September, and you can be part of our early modern family, and we hope to see you soon. Bye bye.